Hey everybody, Micah from Black Bear Custom Kydex. I have a video for you today that I've been meaning to put out for at least a month now on my personal EDC setup. And this is a question that I get all the time from customers, potential customers, whatever. We'll just be talking and they'll ask me, so like, what do you carry? Or I'm thinking about buying a knife. Do you recommend something for EDC or pistol or whatever? So I thought I would just shoot a video at least to show you what I'm carrying right now, fall of 2019, and give you an idea of my philosophies on EDC items individually as well as collectively, mindset, all that good stuff. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all the things I've got, and then we'll show you them individually and talk a little bit about them each. So things that I have on me every day and I do consider to be EDC for one reason or another. Got my trusty Condor ball cap. I've got car keys, or well, I should just say key ring keys on it. My wallet, my cell phone. So those are kind of like apparel type items. Well, not so much keys. You know what I mean? Those are like almost everybody has that. Then moving a little bit beyond that, I've got a flashlight. I carry a folding knife, and I carry a fixed blade, and I carry a pistol and an extra magazine. So I think that's everything. I don't think I'm missing anything. If I am, we'll get there when we get there. All right, so there's all that stuff, but then something that everybody can carry regardless of budget, regardless of where you live, regardless of everything, is your mindset. You have the most powerful tool on planet Earth is in your head, I believe anyway. I think that your mindset and situational awareness and all those kinds of things can be far more important in any kind of skirmish or any situation than any of the tools that you bring to actually engage those situations. So I would just encourage you to really spend some time thinking through all the different horrible possible things that could go wrong and think outside the box. I mean, like, seriously, every possible thing you could ever dream up that you would have to encounter in this world, and think about how you deal with it. Think about who you'd call. Think about, just what your response would be and how you would deal with things, and knowing your own limits, and you got to train. And so I really think all these things are super important, and they all tie into EDC, because it's not really useful, I don't think, to carry, a given tool on you if you're not trained in any way how to use it. Like, most monkeys could probably fire a gun and be okay doing it, but, are you on target? Is that important because there's people in the background? Are you going to pull the trigger if there are people in the back? The list just goes on and on and on, and I don't think it's hard for anybody to really imagine the things that could go wrong if you're not proficient in using the tools that you carry on you. So, all right, that all said, that's kind of my mindset philosophy. So let's talk about the ball cap. Ball caps, great. They keep the sun out of your eyes. They keep the bald off your head. I'm a bald guy, so I like carrying the cap on me. In a real emergency, I could double this over and strike someone with the brim of my cap. I don't currently carry anything like on the underside of it, but you can just use some tape and put like a razor blade or whatever else. There's tons of things that you can hide up there, survival tips, whatever. Actually, I can't remember who makes it. There's a company that makes a hat that has like secret compartments in it for that very purpose. So baseball cap, really versatile item. Keys. Obviously, you got your car key, you got your house key. I've got a storage locker on here. But more importantly, you have a self-defense weapon if you really need it. I know this is like a lot of guys are probably going to laugh at me for saying it, but look, like, I know they teach this in like women's self-defense classes. This is a friggin' valid weapon. If you punch someone in the face with that, that's not going to feel good. So, would it be my go-to weapon? No, of course not. But in an absolute pinch, if I were, if this is the only thing I had on me, the only thing left on me, whatever, you could absolutely turn this into a weapon. I also carry on my key ring a Gerber rescue tool. This is a It's like a little strap cutter, so God forbid I ever need to cut myself or anybody else free in a bad accident, I've got something there that's a little safer than a traditional knife to use for that application. Another thing I didn't really think about, but just occurred to me, that if you're like walking to your car and I don't know, I'm thinking up weird scenarios. So let's just go out on the limb. Let's say you're parked in a parking garage, you're walking there, and you notice some strange people or something that look like they might mean to do you harm. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to use, if you've got an electronic key, set off your car alarm. Just anything that would draw up more attention to that area, or maybe spook them some, or who knows. But that's just another implement that you have at your disposal if you've got that feature on your keys in your car. Okay, moving on. Go to flashlights. Flashlight I carry on my left side. I'm right-handed, so all this is going to make a little more sense once I get full circle, but I carry a flashlight on my left side. Current flashlight I carry for EDC is the Olight Baton Pro. I just bought it. Before that, I was carrying the Olight S2R Baton 2, which is roughly the same size, just a little bit shorter, same diameter, same size tail cap, and the Baton Pro just replaced it because it's got a longer battery life, higher lumen output. Before that, I was carrying an Olight S1R Baton 2, and before that I was carrying an S1R Mini. The Mini I got from Tim from Everyday Tactical Vids. He gave that to me, and a knife. With the first batch of Kydex that I sent his way, he gave me a knife and a flashlight as a thank you. And it was my first Olight, the S1 Baton Mini, and I was blown away by Olight's just quality, the lumen output, the clarity of the light, everything about it. I love Olight. That blew my mind. So I started carrying that, but I found that I don't really like carrying it deep in my pocket. I just don't think that that's a really convenient, accessible place for it for me. So I started using the pocket clip and having it ride at the top of my pocket. But where it's such a short light, oftentimes when I'd be sitting in my car or even on the couch, the light would work its way up sideways and sometimes fall out. Now, luckily, when that happens, you would hear that little click. So I always knew that it happened, but it was still annoying. So, fortunately, I never lost the lights, but just the fact that it could happen had me a little bit on edge about it. So, not on edge, but you know what I mean. I just didn't like that. So I decided that I wanted to clip it to my hat. So I was wearing this like so, actually usually on my left side. And it's so funny, man. I'd be at like a store buying a coffee, and people would be confrontational with me, like, "Why are you recording me?" Like, I'm not. This is not a. Well, so it took me like a month of dealing with that before I figured out that that's what they thought this was. So eventually I was able to like show people, but it's not going to stop me from carrying it the way I want to carry it. So all you snowflakes out there can go cry to somebody else. So then when the S2R Baton 2 dropped, I bought this one because I thought, a longer light in the pocket would keep it from tilting, and just a bigger light would fill out my hand a little bit more, higher lumens, longer battery life. So I bought this not because of anything with the hat, but because I wanted to, I just thought the light was better. So I got this, sure enough, carried great in the pocket. However, that ended up kind of, all right, so you techies out there, maybe you can answer this question. I became concerned over time because the butt end of these is magnetic. So you can see that magnet there. The charging port for this, the USB thing clicks into a USB 2, and then it's a long cable and a little flat medallion type head, same diameter as this. You get them anywhere near each other and they just suck together and it starts charging. Really, really ingenious little device. However, I think because of the magnet, I'm at least concerned that maybe I started to scramble my phone a little bit, because my phone and my flashlight were together in the same pocket. So I don't know if that's a valid concern, if this is powerful enough, if phones are beyond that issue now or what, but I've scrambled a laptop, I've scrambled a USB hard drive before, so I figure a cell phone has got to have some susceptibility to magnetism. So, yeah, let me know, you guys out there who are smarter than I am with sciences and tech, if that's a valid concern. But I decided I wanted it to be outside the waistband. So I came up with this idea to make just a little sheath that I could hold to my belt with paracord. This is the Baton Pro here. And yeah, you can see it rides right there. It's a really comfortable position because it doesn't bounce when I walk. It doesn't really swing around freely, although you can see it definitely could. If I were running, I would imagine I'd feel it, clacking against my thigh. When I sit, it just rests right on my thigh. There's no weird way that it digs in or anything like that. It's just kind of at the perfect height. The other advantage to it here is that when I want to use it, if I need both my hands, I can just turn my light on. I can get plenty of use out of my light and keep my hands free. I can also very easily deploy the light if I need to, or I can even use it while it's on the belt. Pretty generous range of motion. So I think this is a really versatile little setup. I really like how it works. And again, it gives me left hand access, non-dominant hand for me, access to my light. That also frees up my pocket entirely for my cell phone. And you guys might be thinking, like, why didn't you just move the O-Light over to your right pocket? Well, I've got my keys in my right pocket. I have a folder in my right pocket as well. So to me, that feels cluttered. But more importantly, these are items that I specifically want non-dominant hand access to. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But all right, so we got that. Going to the cell phone, I got a Samsung Galaxy S7. So techies out there, let me know. Maybe it was the magnet. Maybe it's just that my phone's a little bit old now. It's like 4 or 5 years old. And I definitely need to get an upgrade at some point in the near future. But currently, it's still, mostly going strong. So I like it a lot. And I definitely want to investigate the newest Samsung Galaxy series because I've enjoyed the 3 that I've had so far. But cell phone, EDC, obviously everybody almost always has their cell phone on them nowadays. But it's beyond for me, it's beyond the convenience of being able to text people or look something up to make a better argument against somebody or whatever. It goes deeper to, like, in an emergency situation, I can call somebody, not just police, fire, EMS, but I can call family, friends, loved ones that it might pertain to or whatever. And I think honestly the biggest thing is, like, if you happen on a medical emergency that you are not skilled and prepared to deal with, and even if you are, it's always best to call 911 and get them on the line and get somebody on their way over to you. I feel that same way. Obviously fire, nobody's walking around with enough kit on them to actually deal with a house fire, so having your phone is going to be super critical then. And, for those of you who carry, you probably have heard the expression, almost everybody's heard the expression, and it's true, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you are pro Second Amendment or not, it is absolutely, fundamentally, indisputably true that when seconds count, the police are minutes away. So that's half of the reason why so many of us carry, because we're not going to leave ourselves at the mercy of our government to defend us. Even though services, I have all the love and respect for police officers. I love them, and I love what they do. I respect them, except the bad ones, obviously. But yeah, I can't trust that somehow they're going to be able to get to where I am and do the fighting for me. That's not how it works. Every human being has a responsibility to defend themselves and defend those who cannot defend themselves. So if you're in that category of protector, man, you got to have that mindset of being ready to engage a threat when it's time to engage a threat, and not waiting for the police to come save your butt, because it's probably going to be too late by the time they get there. That said, I think it is probably the best thing, if it's possible. I know a lot of situations that would call for you to react to, or to use deadly force or whatever, are going to happen so fast and so furious that you're not going to have a chance to collect your thoughts or a chance to take the time to dial 911. But if it's something where you can actually take that literally 10 seconds, pick up your phone, dial 911, hit the speakerphone button, and shove that sucker back in your pocket. and then deal with the emergency. Just something like that, you know. So the cell phone can be a real great complementary or life-saving device. Yeah, there's a million applications out there. I don't have time to list them all. I don't even know them all. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and any additional benefits you can think of to having your cell phone on you. And let's keep it serious. This is a serious conversation. I know I made a joke about the Wikipedia thing, but yeah, let's try to keep actual application, real world stuff going on in the comments. All right, so we got cell phone. Then I have a folder on me. I carry a Benchmade Griptilian, and I switch this out pretty often with my Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This guy is in 154 cm. It's the sheep's foot version with the opening hole, and my PM2 I think is in S90V. I want to say, yeah, whatever. It's in Sunblade steel. It's pretty great. So folders. Why do I carry that on my right side, but I carry other things on my left side? My folder I carry on my right side because I'm only going to use it right-handed, realistically. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to cut packages open. I'm going to do work tasks with this. Then I'm going to fold it up and put it back in my pocket. I do not view this as a weapon. Yes, it's sharp, it's pointy, it's hella cool, whatever else about it. But this would not be my backup weapon. Certainly not my primary, not my backup, not even my backup's backup. It would probably be like fourth, maybe fifth on my list of tools that I carry on me that I would use to defend myself. My biggest apprehension with this is that if I'm in a situation that dictates me responding with a deadly weapon, because this could absolutely be a deadly weapon, of course, I might already be in a situation where it's dangerous to start to open this knife. What if something happens, it gets blocked? What if my fingers get closed in below the blade? What if the partially open blade gets turned and hits me somehow? You know, there's just a lot of things I feel like could go wrong with a folder. And I'm not really in the category of people who worry about having your lockup, you know, break on you, that fail on you or whatever. I would baton with this knife, and I'd be very confident that Benchmade has made a solid product that can handle that. Certainly, this would not be my go-to for batoning. Obviously, I would use a fixed blade that's going to be better suited, thicker spine, all that stuff. But my point is, I don't distrust the strength and quality of this tool. I distrust the function of all folding knives. I don't care if it's an Emerson wave feature on your Kershaw or you've got an actual Emerson. I don't care if it's an out the front blade. I don't care if it's auto or spring assisted or whatever. The point is, you have a blade that can potentially stop partway through the open, or not get opened at all, depending on the scenario, and then it's useless to you or even detrimental to you. So this, in an absolute last possible thing I could use to defend myself scenario, yes, of course, I'm going to do what I got to do to survive. But that's kind of the mindset I go into with this, is that it's not my primary, it's not my backup, and it's probably not anywhere close to reasonable that I'll ever have to use it, given how far down the list it is, or use it in that application. I use this thing many times every single day for work task utility, but that's what it is to me. All right, so then moving over to my fixed blade. Currently, I'm carrying a Bradford Guardian G3. I really love this knife. The two standard steels that they come out with for these are Bowler M390, which is what this guy is, and then N690, which is not quite as good as this. So I'm a huge fan of this. I've been a huge fan of the M390, and I also have the sheep's foot version of this blade, although I'm not a huge fan of the sheep's foot for just about anything. I used it a little bit the other day, feather sticking and stuff, and it's extremely competent. But I bought it because it's in Vanity's 4E steel, so it's like a limited edition, and I'll probably just end up making a nice sheath and selling it. But excuse me. But yeah, I personally don't love it. So for me, this is the one to go with as far as the G3s go. I also have a Guardian 5. just an absolute beast of a knife. Beautiful. I love it. So, big fan of Bradford. I also think that it's important when you select an EDC knife that you select something that is reasonably big, enough to do the things that you might need to do with it. For me, I might cut some food with it at the campsite or something like that, although I probably have some other knives on me that would be more suited to a designated food prep or something like that. But I don't know. If something happened and I was like stranded in the woods, maybe, who knows, but let's say I don't have my camping gear, I would have this on me because I carry it every day. And yeah, for sure, I would use this to do some food prep. I would pick this over my PM2, I think. But primarily, my oh yeah, sorry, back to the size issue. My bad. So pick something big enough to do what you need to do with it for EDC tasks, but small enough that you can conceal. Now I know that fixed concealed blades are not an option for everybody depending on where you live, all that good stuff, but at least for me, this is a great option. I would highly recommend considering it. Something like this or an SE Azula that falls into that sort of 6-ish inch overall size makes it a really great concealable, but long enough to be usable blade. I hate seeing like all those super tiny, like a 1-inch blade. I'm not saying there's no application for it. I'm saying if you have to defend yourself with that, you might be in some serious trouble because you might not even have reach. And I feel like you really need to train a lot with that to make it an effective tool. So we got that. Now I carry it in a sheath that I made. This is in this really cool American flag print from Holster Builder. Love their stuff. And it's a little bit off the beating path as far as what you see for a sheath, for an angle rather. So I carry it at this angle because it's on my non-dominant side. So I would be drawing it reverse grip with my non-dominant hand. And my whole philosophy, cell phone, flashlight, fixed blade, left side, and magazine for that matter, is obviously because if I ever need to deploy my primary defense weapon, which is my firearm, then I have tools that can complement the firearm. Or specifically, my thought process behind putting this knife at that angle was that if I'm in a skirmish with somebody, whatever happens, men are men, we say stupid stuff. Somebody gets out of control, decides they're going to try to wrestle me down. They feel a gun on my hip, and then they're trying to go for it because whoever has control of the weapon or the firearm has control of the fight, I think. Not always true, but that's mostly true. So if they're trying to get my gun off me, I can secure it. Maybe I would absolutely do this, like tuck my shirt behind, but keep pressure inward and downward. Make sure that trigger does not come out of that holster because the gun can't go off without that trigger leaving the holster. So I'm going to keep pressure inward, downward, and then I'm going to grab this knife and I'm going to respond to my threat. Hopefully get them away from the gun so that I can have control of it because I want to win that fight, obviously. So having that there, really, really convenient. What I didn't think about and what I've discovered over the last few weeks carrying it like this is that it actually conceals fairly well. Not entirely and not always. Sometimes I wear a shirt that's like just a little bit shorter and you can see the butt of the handle. No big deal though. I personally don't care about that too much. I don't think most people care if they see a tiny knife on you. It doesn't scare too many people. But yeah, so I carry it there. Conceals pretty well. It's very comfortable. It doesn't poke into my... I've got a tactical muffin top going on, you can see. And even with that, I don't have any discomfort with this whatsoever. Full range of motion too. Never have any issues with that. Mostly it's just that even if I'm on the ground on my left side, I could rock enough to be able to pull that knife out of there. I can access it when I'm sitting down. I can access it when I'm on my face. And God forbid I'm ever in that scenario where, I'm sure everybody's seen the movie or whatever, but you can imagine that this stuff can happen where you're in a situation where things are ramping up and you potentially are going to have to use a weapon, this is something I feel pretty confident in. Like without looking, I could just thumbs in my pocket, look pretty innocently, like I'm not trying to actually do anything, and um, yeah, try not to startle the other person. But if they decide to attack me, I actually have just kind of sneakily put that knife in my hand. So if I absolutely have to, I'm ready to respond with this as a weapon. You know, would this be my go-to? No, of course not. But there are possibly some scenarios where I wouldn't be as comfortable lifting up my shirt to grab my gun. I don't know what kind of scenario that is. Maybe a guy's got a gun to my head or something already, or well, actually, not so much that particular thing. I've done some training on how to take a gun from someone, so I would probably rely on that training. But whatever. I have another potential application, being able to quietly and fairly sneakily remove that from the sheath and be carrying it ready to go if I have to. So there's that. Okay, obviously the final thing on my kit is my firearm. So let's talk about this and the holster real quick. This is a Taurus G2C. A lot of people out there have weighed in their opinions on this thing, and it's pretty mixed out there in the gun community. It's a $200 pistol. It's from Taurus. These are things that traditionally would be indicators of a low quality weapon. I 100% agree that Taurus has historically not been a great firearms manufacturer. However, what I'm going to say is that so this was actually given to me. I would not have chosen this gun if I were buying one. But everything about it so far has blown my mind. It is extremely accurate. It is reliable. I've got probably 16 or 1700 rounds through it myself. It was used before I got it, so I don't know. It's possibly over 2,000 rounds through it, and no malfunctions whatsoever. And it's extremely comfortable in hand. It's probably on the larger size of subcompact, which I think is kind of perfect for, at least for me, for EDC. I'm very comfortable using it. I got a pretty decent shot with it, both close and longer range. For a pistol, up to like 50 feet or so, I'm pretty accurate with this. Like put one on the center of your head accurate. I'm not talking like hit the broadside of a barn accurate. So anyway, I've just been very, very impressed with it. I would encourage you guys, if you haven't checked it out already, definitely go, if you've got a range that rents them, go out, rent it, take it out into the lane and put some rounds down range. See what you think of it. But I've been just blown away by it. Is it the best firearm on the market? No. I'm not saying that whatsoever, and I am always kind of keeping my eyes peeled for good deals because I want to buy something maybe a little bit higher quality. But I've rented Glocks, I've rented CZs, I've rented SIGs, and shot all of them next to this, and this has actually come out as preferred. Like if I were blindfolded just shooting, I wouldn't be accurate, but as far as feel goes, I would put this above all of them, all the ones that I've tried, the models that I've happened to try out. And I would definitely, as far as accuracy and sight picture and all that, my only complaint, I think the sights could be just a millimeter higher or so, because they feel a little bit too low to get the best possible sight picture for me, for my taste anyway. But I'm used to it, and I can put rounds pretty well on target. I can keyhole shots one after another, so I'm pretty happy with this. All right, so that said, I carry Appendix. I've been carrying Appendix for just about a month now. I made this holster for myself, and I've been very, very impressed with this type of design. I'm not the originator of this style of holster. I don't know who is. I've seen a ton of different people out there, a ton of companies doing holsters like this. Not just the angled magazine here, but the whole idea of having a mag pouch be separate, not a one-piece front, and having some kind of flexible hinge between them, whether it's leather, this is elastic shock cord. I've seen people use soft loops. I've seen people use just regular rubber coated nylon. And recently a friend showed me a picture of something he came up with using a Match Point USA universal backer. I don't know if it was like the full piece or if you cut a piece off of it and was using that, but whatever. There are a lot of great things that you can do to make a good flexible hinge so it contours to your body. That's part one of concealment. Part two, using the right kind of clips. There are a lot of inside the waistband clips. I'm sure all of them have the potential to do well with concealment. I really like using these if I'm going to use two of them. I don't like using them singularly. And if I'm going to use just a single clip, I would go with what's called a foamy clip, and I would attach it to this little outcrop here. I'd poke a couple holes in it, and yeah, that'd be that. Got a Raven concealment Vanguard claw here, Raven concealment holster wedge on the back, and plenty of spots for retention, ride height adjustment, etc. You can actually even, this is not hard attached or tied off, you can just take some, I've got a piece of this shock cord behind the holster wedge. You can just kind of unweave it from the back of the holster wedge, bring it back through the eyelets, and then separate these two. I would then take the clip off the magazine and put it through those eyelets, and then you have just a good balanced appendix carry pistol only holster. So I would definitely check into this kind of style of holster. Plenty of guys are making them. I really think this is the way to go if you're going to concealed carry. I carried for the better part of a year 3 o'clock and switched to conceal about a month ago, or to appendix about a month ago, and it's no contest. This beats 3 o'clock 10 times out of 10 in my opinion. Faster access. It is slightly less comfortable overall. You know, you can actually just forget you even have one on you at the 3 o'clock. But the benefits of appendix are you're going to have most likely a faster access, faster draw, cleaner draw. And what I mean by that is, like over here, it would be kind of, sometimes I'd go to lift my shirt and it would snag on the butt of the handle or something like that. Things could happen and I wouldn't immediately be able to grab the gun. It'd be a delay of maybe a half second or something, but that could count in an absolute dire emergency. With this thing, it's every time just as clean as that, with zero training and preparation for it. And now that I am working with it, working on it, I'm getting faster and cleaner every day. So yeah, I think appendix is definitely the way to go. It also conceals better overall. So yeah. All right, guys. I'm sorry this video is so long. Thank you for sticking it out for 33 minutes of my rambling. But I'd love to know your opinions on all of this gear. I'd love to know what you carry. And I'd love to know about your mindset like I was talking about before. I think that's so important. So in the comment section down below, let's keep it real this time around. I didn't yawn, so we got nothing to joke about there. And I just want your raw opinions unedited. And let's get some conversations going about good EDC mindset, good EDC gear. And yeah, that's what I got. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Stick around for the next one. God bless.